Hi everybody, this is a quick China new energy vehicle market update. This is based on latest information released this morning. As usual, I released this on YouTube with a significant time delay. So let's go through the key players. So the top dog in terms of volume is BYD. BYD sold 742,000 new energy vehicles in the last 12 weeks. So these lines that you're looking at, these are trailing 12 months metrics. Trailing 12 weeks means each dot represents the sales of the 12 weeks leading up to that point. And the new energy vehicle market segment in China comprises fully electric vehicles or battery electric vehicles or short BEVs, and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles or short PHEVs, and hybrid electric vehicles. This also comprises EREVs, which are extended range electric vehicles. Or in short, the NEV market is everything excluding pure ICE vehicles. ICE vehicles being internal combustion engine vehicles. The number 2 player is Tesla, delivered over the last 12 weeks 148,000 vehicles. And you can see, unlike BYD, which kind of flatlined over the last couple of weeks, Tesla sees a very strong recovery. That recovery was mostly is driven on a low base that was caused by the transition from the old Model Y to the new Model Y and some seasonal factors. I expect this trend to continue, especially given that Tesla is about to launch the Model 3 Plus with a significantly longer range, and is soon launching a Model Y L, which is a larger version of the current lineup of the Model Y. So next one is Aito. Aito is a joint venture between Ceres Group and Huawei, the large smartphone and telecom equipment maker. They delivered 114,000 vehicles, and what's interesting in their sales trend is that after quite a long, quite robust, consistent upward trend, they appear to have peaked in the last 2 weeks. But let's see whether it's just a temporary pause or whether they are able to gain even more market share. In number 4 position is Leapmotor. Leapmotor, similar to Aito, but less pronounced, also experienced quite a long, sustained upward trend. And unlike Aito's upward trend, Leapmotor's upward trend is still intact. As a result of the strengths of Leapmotor and Aito, Li Auto, which used to be the number 3, dropped now to number 4 rank, and you can see this over here by looking at these numbers, since Li Auto brought in 90,000 units, and that is just slightly ahead of XPeng. And given XPeng has a quite positive upward trend recently, and Li Auto quite a negative one, and given the tiny or almost non-existent gap between the two automakers, it's highly likely that XPeng will soon move up to number 5 and replace Li Auto as number 5. And that would mean that over the span of just a few months, Li Auto dropped from number 3 position to number 6 position. Also, Xiaomi, currently number 7, has a quite kind of, let's call it a flatline sales trend. But I believe this is before we can see the true effects of the recently launched U7, which is Xiaomi's first SUV product, because for most of this trend, the sales numbers that you see here, they're based on a single model. And what I believe and why we see in the last months no material improvement in sales is that Xiaomi customers moved from the sedan product, the existing sedan product, the SU7, to the U7, and because the U7 is in early RAM stage, there's not enough product available. You have kind of an offsetting effect, which will unwind itself as there is more U7 product available. So for that reason, I expect in a couple of weeks this sales trend to significantly improve. And assuming Li Auto cannot change its fortunes, it's highly likely Li Auto drops to 7th place. Next up, in terms of brand ranking, is Zeekr. Zeekr sold 39,000 units over the last 12 weeks, and this is extremely consistent for a number of months. So Zeekr, owned by the large Chinese automaker Geely, clearly stuck at this level. Zeekr is a fully electric vehicle brand that is positioned at a premium to most of the companies we just discussed. Zeekr mostly sells very high performance vehicles. But I should point out that NIO, which sells through the NIO brand, the Onvo brand, and the Firefly brand, would come in just behind Xiaomi in terms of overall group ranking. But the ranking that you see in front of you is about the brands, because ultimately consumers buy brands and not auto groups. For example, Stellantis in Europe is a good example. Nobody buys a Stellantis vehicle. They buy some brand under the Stellantis brand. I should rephrase. They buy a brand under the Stellantis group because Stellantis itself is not really a brand. It's just a name created a few years ago for the basket of companies that sit under Stellantis group. So let's talk about NIO. So first, let's talk about the NIO brand. So here we can see that for several weeks, this main brand, this is the premium brand within NIO Group, has seen a negative sales trend. I've been talking about this for quite some time. I anticipated that the OMVO brand would significantly cannibalize, i.e. take sales from the NIO brand, since the OMVO brand offers products that are very, very similar to certain products offered under the NIO brand, but at a lower price. So the savvy Chinese consumer obviously then moves to OMVO and doesn't buy the NIO branded vehicle. And I think this is exactly what we see in the sales trend. You can see how sales in NIO go down, and then as NIO sales pick up, as OMVO sales pick up, NIO brands sales go down even further. So I expect in the next few months, OMVO will replace NIO as NIO Group's primary volume driver. Next, we look at NIO's Firefly brand. This is a fairly recently launched brand, and you can see that the 12 weeks sales trend has been kind of stabilized at the just over 8,000 unit mark, which would make this brand a failure. But I should point out that currently on this brand there's only one model, and the OMVO brand has recently been expanded to include two models. So for most of this sales trend, this is only based on the L60, but in the most recent 2 weeks, we also saw some L90 sales. The L90 is a vehicle that will compete directly against the upcoming Tesla Model Y L, however, at a lower price point. I hope this was insightful. Thanks for listening. See you next one. Bye.